Good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the Consulate Journal of Canada presentation. In the next 15 minutes, we shall be covering these topics, and please do check your chat box from time to time as we'll be sharing helpful links there as well. And as Tharma recommended, please feel free to put your questions there, Q&A or the chat box, and we shall endeavor to answer them as well. So why choose Canada? Canada is your gateway to the enormous North American market. It is entrepreneurial and has 6 cities recognized by the Global Startup Ecosystem Report in 2020. So if you are into artificial intelligence or AI, you'll be impressed to know that Ottawa was the first Canadian city to test an on-street autonomous vehicle that communicated with live city infrastructure. Imagine that. If your area of expertise or your area of discipline is in advanced manufacturing and robotics, Montreal is known in the fields of collaborative robotics, smart manufacturing, additive manufacturing, smart textiles, and advanced materials. Or if you are into gaming, Montreal is the center of the Canadian gaming industry, hosting almost 35% of all gaming studios in the country. The city also boasts more than 10,000 game development professionals, and it even has tax credit for multimedia labor, which can refund more than 37% of employee salaries. Its neighboring city, Quebec City, is home to globally renowned companies like Ubisoft and Freema. On top of all that, Canada is also one of the most multicultural countries in the world. We have 2 official languages, English and French, and we have world-class universities, a universal healthcare system, strong, stable G7 economy, and clean, safe, and friendly cities. Our employment levels are high, and our low annual inflation rate means that it is relatively affordable to live in Canada. Now I shall turn you over to my colleague to continue the presentation.
Okay, great, thank you. Let me talk about the startup immigration program. Canada has many different options for both permanent and temporary immigration. But given the theme of the fair, let's start with this one, the startup program. So if you think you have yourself a great idea for a startup, Canada may be a good option for you because we have a specific program tailored to new startup ideas. On the immigration website, you'll find a list of qualifying venture capital funds, angel investor groups, and business incubator groups. There are about, I think, 20 plus venture capital funds listed, about 9 or 10 angel investor groups, and close to 40 business incubator programs. So if you can convince a venture capital fund or an angel investor group to invest in your idea, or for one of these business incubator programs to add you into their service, to sign you up formally, that could qualify you for permanent residence in Canada. So you could actually arrive in Canada as a permanent resident from day one. Apart from getting one of these organizations involved, there are also some other basic requirements. You need to pass a language test in English or French, you have the choice. And also you need to bring some funds, not funds for the business, but because that's coming from the investors, but just funds to support yourself or your family. For example, for a family of 4, it's about 25,000 Canadian. So that's personal funds only. Okay, and so that's how the program works. And I think we could go actually straight to the next section. I'll pass it back to my colleague who's going to talk about job opportunities in Canada. There we go. Thanks.
If you do not wish to apply for startup visa, there are other opportunities for you. Many startup and established companies in Canada need your skills. So, generally speaking, occupations in demand in Canada are in these sectors: technology, healthcare, teaching, manufacturing, trades, agriculture, transportation, services, etc. You can also go to the website jobbank.gc.ca to search from over 90,000 jobs from Canadian employers all over the country. There are also currently over 500 job openings from employers who specifically want to recruit foreign workers and have made the process faster by obtaining something called a labor market impact assessment, which we're going to discuss further. Here are some examples of occupations that are in demand in Canada. By no means exhaustive, though. So we encourage you to check the website that we will also be posting on the chat box later. So as examples, you'll see there's accounting, engineering, IT, mathematics and statisticians, healthcare, nurses, creative industries, digital media, animation, and trades as well. So where to find a job? You can use this Government of Canada website called jobbank.gc.ca, and you can click on Trends Analysis tab to search for job openings, find information on salaries across different cities in Canada, as well as check which your occupation is in demand in whichever cities in Canada. There's also information on registration or licensing, depending on your occupation, because it may be required in the specific Canadian province. So I'll turn you back to my colleague.
Okay, let's talk very quickly about studying in Canada, because studying can lead in Canada to being able to work during your studies and after. We have options of postgraduate work permits in many cases. And that also is another route, one of many, to permanent residence if that interests you. You can go to the next slide. Yes, so Canada has world-class educational institutions. Many universities and colleges and specific programs rank in the top 100 or the top 200 in various rankings around the world. A good place to start is the educanada.ca website, where you can look up universities and colleges based on field of study, location within Canada, the city or the province you're interested in, language of study, which would normally be English or French, sometimes bilingual, and the costs. You can get a sense of the cost from here also. Okay, next slide. And once if you think you're interested in actually applying, you'll get accepted to an institution. So you get a letter of acceptance. You'll need to demonstrate when you apply that you have the funds to cover your tuition and your living expenses and a return flight. And you can do that in various ways. I mean, one of them is to show proof that you paid the tuition. So then what's left is showing the living expenses. So you just show liquid funds of some kinds, like a bank statements. And also, it's recommended you would submit a statement of purpose with your application, just to explain what you're hoping to get out of the program career-wise and study-wise. There are a few other requirements, biometrics and medical exam, depending on where you're living. That's, for some countries in the region, but not all, the medical. And if approved, then you're off and you're ready to go. Okay, next slide. And as I said, in a lot of cases, you would be allowed to work while you're studying or after. I mean, virtually all degree programs and many diploma programs, particularly those at public universities or colleges, also will allow work. Once you get into the private colleges, it's less common, but it depends on the specific college and program and sometimes the province. But how it works, if you can work, you can work 20 hours a week during the term and 40 hours a week during holidays. Christmas holidays is 2 weeks. There's also, I mean, most programs have a 4-month break from May to August, and you can work full-time during all of that period. So it's a great way to help to fund your studies, or even to save some money or do a bit of travel while you're there. And after you graduate, for many, virtually all degree and many diploma programs, you'll get a postgraduate work permit that matches the length of your study program up to a maximum of 3 years. So you go and do a 2-year diploma, you can get a 2-year postgrad work permits. And that in turn can lead to permanent residence, which I'll touch on just a little bit later. But first, back over to my colleague on work permits.
Perfect. So there are many types of work permits to allow you to work in Canada, and one of them is International Experience Canada, or IEC. This is possible given that the youth mobility agreements between Canada and more than 30 other countries and territories, allowing 18 to 35-year-olds to travel and work overseas. So go to the link there on the slide or use the QR code to check if your country has an agreement with Canada. Please do note that the next item that I'll be presenting, there will be differing aspects for various countries depending on their agreement with Canada. So what I'll just be sharing right now is for Australian citizens. So IEC has 3 categories. First is the working holiday. You do not need to have a job to apply. It's an open work permit, so you can just rock up to Canada and look for work while you're there. Work for anyone, anywhere in Canada, and it's valid for 2 years for Australian citizens. For New Zealand citizens, it will be valid for 23 months. So you can work for an employer in Canada for a single employer for the entire 23 months, no problem. Or if you want to change jobs, travel a bit, that's also okay under the working holiday category. The second category for Australian citizens is young professionals. For this, you would need to have a job offer and you would be undertaking work in Canada to develop your career. And the third one is internship. This is if you are enrolled in a post-secondary institution in Australia and you also need to have a job offer. Internship would be good for 12 months, while young professionals is also 24 months. So more information on the IEC, please check the website. If you don't meet the criteria for IEC, there are many other work permit options actually for you. One is the recognized organization tab that we have here, also for youth whose country of citizenship doesn't have a youth mobility agreement with Canada. So go to the site there and check the list to see if your country and age would meet their eligibility criteria. Other work permits are regular employer-specific work permit. So for this, the employer who wants to hire you must complete certain steps and obtain a labor market impact assessment or an offer of employment number. So a labor market impact assessment is something to show that there is a need for a foreign worker to fill the job, to show that there's no Canadian worker or permanent resident available to fill that role. Other examples there are other examples there wherein LMIA is not required, such as professionals and intra-company transferees. So for example, your organization whom you're working for has a affiliate in Canada, then you may be able to go there as a transferee without an LMIA. As well, if you can speak French, there is Francophonie Mobility, wherein it'll be a streamlined process for you to work in Canada. On the other hand, if you're working as a teacher or a firefighter, you can check with your state Department of Education or State Fire Service to see if you can go on an exchange to Canada. Now, let me turn you back over to my colleague.
Okay, perfect. So let's just talk just for a couple of minutes about immigration, meaning going to Canada as a permanent resident or becoming a permanent resident once you're in Canada. All right. Now, the main program that you may have heard of for economic immigration is called Express Entry. Just waiting for the slide. And Express Entry is essentially an application, an electronic application intake system, that's all it is, under which there are these three main programs. And the main one, if you're overseas and you don't have Canadian work experience, the main program for most professionals or managers is the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And that's a point system. Essentially, that works as a point system. Now, getting into the Express Entry pool is quite straightforward. It's a quick application. You do need to do language testing. And if your education is outside of Canada, you need to get an organization in Canada to do an equivalency to make sure the credential lines up with the Canadian one. So those are the steps. Once you're in the pool, you'll be pulled out of the pool during a draw, a selection which happens multiple times a year if you have enough points. If not, then after 12 months, you're no longer in the pool. So the advantage of this program is we just select as many as we need each year, so we don't build up longer term inventory. So that's why we use this system. So the points are based on language skills, which is based on testing, age, education, work experience, and there's other ways to get extra points, such as a formal job offer in Canada, a nomination by one of the provinces or territories in Canada, and a few other ways. Now, the most interesting program, if you go to Canada and you manage to get a year of skilled work, whether it's, which has a specific definition, but we're just going through this, which you can find on our website. But if you manage to get a year of skilled work in Canada, whether on a postgraduate work permit or IEC or one of those many other categories of work permits, and you have a certain language level, you'll be able to apply for the Canadian Experience class. So it's kind of fast forward. It's a pathway to PR, transitioning from temporary resident to permanent resident. So it's quite a generous program as long as you can get that year of full-time work experience in Canada. Okay, if we go to the next slide, there are a lot of other permanent resident programs. These are all economic. I mean, normally we'd have on this slide the startup program, but I've already discussed that earlier. Not to mention, I mean, we have family class reunification programs and refugee programs and so on. But from an economic perspective, these are some of the other ones, which are a little bit separate and outside of Express Entry. Well, provincial is hybrid. You can actually be a provincial nominee within the Express Entry system or separately. Each province has an immigration website and their own programs. But yeah, many different options. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So that's a very brief overview of some of our major programs, including the Startup Immigration Program. If you're looking for more, one place to go is the Come to Canada Wizard. This is the link here, where you can answer questions about your background and your interests, and it will indicate which programs are possibilities for you. And at the top of the page, if you click on that immigration and citizenship hyperlink, that will bring you one step back to the main immigration website where there's details on all of our programs. Okay, next slide. Like most countries, the border requirements are changing from month to month. That's the unfortunate reality we all find ourselves in, I think. And so to get the latest and greatest in terms of what purposes you can go to Canada for, do you need to do testing before you go? Spoiler alert, yes. And is it better to be vaccinated and so on? And again, the border is much more open for people that are fully vaccinated than those that are not at this point. But it does evolve from month to month, and that's where you can find information on travel. And next, if you want more information from our office, the Consulate General, and we're actually based, of course, there's a High Commission in Singapore, and we do have one in KL, but doesn't have an immigration section. So Singapore is the regional immigration office, and we have an office in Manila as well. We're based in Sydney, but if you're looking for more information, we're happy to answer your questions. You can go on to this site and give us your contact detail and let us know what you'd like to know, and we'll see if we can help you. Okay, and I think that's about it. Is there one more? Yeah, next question. So I think we hopefully do have a few minutes. If you've got any questions, you can put them into the chat.
Yeah, we do. We're running a little bit late. So there is one very specific question that I'm sure you guys want to answer, where Megan Mohan asks, I'm not an Australian citizen. I have a student visa in Australia. Would I be eligible to attend internships in Sydney?
It's possible. It would depend on whether that student visa gives you the right to work in Canada. If we're talking about a paid internship, we do have so we're a relatively small office. We have some limited internship opportunities from time to time, but if we're looking at paid opportunities, then yeah, it would depend on that visa and the right to work under that visa and how many hours, but theoretically it could be possible. I don't know if my colleague wants to expand on that, or that pretty much covers it.
That should cover it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, fantastic. There are a few more questions, but as we're running short on time, we'll send those to you guys, and we'll make sure we send the panelists their answers as well. I just really want to thank the Consulate General of Canada for coming and presenting. Truly is an honor, and thank you for sharing. We're going to move on to Arvee's presentation on Shuttlerock. Yeah, excited to hear what he has to share.
Thank you. Are you able to help me present my slides?
Yeah, of course. Just give me a second.
Hope everyone is still having fun, and hope everyone will stick around until the end of this presentation. Hi, everyone. Just to reintroduce myself, I am Arvee. I'm a global client partner at Shuttlerock, and I am the person standing between you and your Friday night plans. So I'm going to make this one worthwhile. I hope everyone will stick around because I have a lot of information about our company, about who we are and what we're looking for. By the way, just in case anyone is interested to know what we're doing in our company on the sidelines, that is my handle for all the social media platform out there, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. That's the same handle that I use. And later on, I will let you know why it's important to be on those social platforms when you would like to work in our company. Okay. Next slide, please. Sorry. Okay, so who is Shuttlerock as a business, right? So basically, as I've mentioned earlier, Shuttlerock is a creative tech company. So what we do is that we actually have a product, right? So we think of ourselves as an enabler when it comes to digital creative production. So perhaps you've seen a lot of ads on Facebook, a lot of ads on YouTube. Most of the time, we are creating those. those ads that you are probably skipping while you're doing something else. Yes, those are the ads that we do. No, seriously speaking, right? So that's the core of our business, right? So what we do is that we work with traditional creative agencies, media agencies, brands directly, and even platform partners. So we create assets that are specifically designed for for each platform, and it's all digital. That's why I was telling everyone earlier during the session, if you want to join a company that's 100% digital, join our team, right? So apart from that, we do have our own proprietary tech platform. So our platform, we call it the Shuttlerock Cloud. So it's a creative on-demand ordering platform, right? So think of it like your creative as a service platform. I mean, a lot of people are telling, we have a SaaS software as a service, right? So we call it creative as a service. So our platform, what it does is really simple, right? So we make the process seamless using the platform in the sense that you can actually order whatever you need, brief whatever campaigns you have, provide your feedback, review your assets, and deploy from our platform. So it makes the process really seamless, and it makes it scalable for that matter. Okay, so just some stats there. Right now, we're probably working on or have worked on 45,000 video ads, and it's still growing at an exponential rate at the moment. And we have around 100 plus in-house designers, apart from all the other members of the team in our company. Next slide, please. So this one is actually a video just to give you an idea on how we make magic within our company. Okay, so I hope that was streaming well, right? But the video that you saw, right, just shows how we take something that is already existing, like a simple static image, and turn them into a beautiful digital first asset. So that is essentially what we're doing to the campaigns or the projects that our clients are given us. And speaking of clients, let's go to the next slide, please. We are actually a trusted global partner by a lot of major MNCs out there. So you can just imagine we're working with McDonald's, Ford, SC Johnson, Nestle, Procter and Gamble, Unilever, Samsung. So we are creating their digital assets. So if you're interested to work with a global company who is handling global projects, definitely Shuttlerock is the place to be, right? So apart from that, we do have global offices. I don't know if I've impressed this fact earlier, but we do actually have a global footprint. Our global headquarters is in New Zealand. Our regional headquarters is here in Singapore, but we also have different creative studios around the world. Apart from our creative studios, we do have brick and mortar offices in North America, in EMEA, in Asia Pacific. Okay, now I'm gonna give you like some testimonials from the clients that we are working with. Just a short video. Okay. Next slide, please. So what's interesting is that apart from the global MNCs that we work with, we're actually an official creative partner for most, if not all, of the social media platforms out there. That's why I told you earlier, it's a big part of our daily lives, right? So we are an official creative partner for Facebook and Instagram, for Google, for YouTube, Pinterest, Hulu, TikTok, Snapchat, and even Twitter. So what does that mean? As a creative partner, it takes a lot, right? So it takes a lot of work. So that only means that we are working closely with those social platforms. So with Google, with Facebook, if you can see the fourth picture, that's me in the Facebook office in Malaysia. So we work with those platform partners. We actually co-present master classes with them. We co-fund projects with them. We do other initiatives with these platform partners to ensure that our clients are happy and what our clients are producing are best in class, when it comes to digital assets. So you might ask, but RV, I'm actually not interested in working with purely commercial clients, right? Because basically what I've shared are like the MNCs of the world. So if you're also interested in working with NGOs and nonprofits, like we also do work with them. In fact, one of the biggest projects that I've worked on since last year, since March 2020 last year, is what we call the COVID response project. So what we did is that we partner up with Facebook, and then we help create communication assets for the different NGOs and nonprofit and government entities like World Health Organization, UNICEF, right, and the like. So we help them create assets that they can use to combat like COVID misinformation, or to help give their audiences tips or preventive measures on how to fight COVID, right? So that's also a big part of our business, just in case you were wondering. Finally, if you can scoot over to the next slide. I guess the biggest asset of our organization is our people. And this is the reason why I am here, because as I've said earlier, we are looking for people who are hungry, who are open to learning new things, who would like to evolve with us in the similar way that we are evolving with the current digital environment. So right now there are 250 Shuttlerockers, right? And we all came from different cultural backgrounds. So as I've said in my quote here, this is the only company where I feel like I've met a lot of crazy, passionate, and talented people who are really working together to achieve one goal. So if that's something that interests you, definitely, have a chat with us, send us a message, drop me an email, and, we can talk about how we can probably or potentially onboard you to our company. Next slide, please. So that's actually the last part of my presentation. You can visit shuttlerock.com/careers. We have a lot of openings out there. Right now, we do have a lot of open positions here in Asia Pacific as well. So you can also reach out to Tharma to know more about us, or to know more how you can apply to Shuttlerock. Any questions?
Thank you so much for that presentation, Arvee. It was extremely insightful. Yeah, we do have a number of questions. The first
that's
one,
great to hear.
The first one is, hi, Arvee. I wanted to ask you about internships at Shuttlerock. Does Shuttlerock do internships for uni students who are in Australia with experience in media?
Yes, we do. Okay. In fact, right, before partnering with Prospel, we were actually looking for interns, only because we're also open to idea of, hiring interns and hopefully train them. And if they are if they are a cultural fit and we think that they can grow within the company, then we'll potentially hire them. So yes, we are open to hiring interns as well, not only in Australia, even in Malaysia, Vietnam, and Singapore. So if you are looking for internship, drop us a note.
And as you may know, if you go to the Startup Virtual Career Fair landing page, Shuttlerock's thing is right there. Shuttlerock's profile is right there and send you right to their website. You can see what positions they have open. One last question before we end the session, and we'll send you everything else so you can answer it after this, so we can let these people go for their Friday nights.
I know.
Can I negotiate my salary, even though this will be my first job? Any thoughts on that, Arvee?
Definitely, right. I think salary negotiation is it's a tricky topic, right? To open to your potential employer, right? But I think it just boils down to how you handle the situation. Number one, you have to treat the situation with utmost confidentiality, right? It's a matter of discussion between you and your potential employer, right? That's number one. Number two, it's also how you communicate with your employer, right? Because at the end of the day, if you have the best intention to get the best package for you, but you haven't communicated it properly, it kind of comes across as something rude or disrespectful to your employer, right? So again, those are just 2 points that I would give as a tip.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your session, Arvee. We'll be sure to let the fresh graduates know about Shuttlerock's openings and push your page out to them.
Hopefully we can receive a lot of interest from students. And you know what, if I may add one last thing, sorry about this one.
Of course.
Our what they call this lead generation team just told me that we are also looking for data analysts. So if anyone here is in the relevant course or is looking for a role like data analyst, definitely we're open to hiring one as well.
Well, you heard it from the man himself. It's not just about creatives.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. That's one of the things that I would like to highlight here. Even though we are in the creative industry, there are a lot of open roles or open positions out there. It doesn't have to be a creative coordinator. You can be in our finance, in our data team, even product team, because we do have a product that we are evolving and continuously developing.
Amazing. It looks like we have one really specific Shuttlerock.
Let's do it.
Question.
I don't have any meeting today.
Last question, and then I'll show you guys how to get the e-certificate. Promise. Shuttlerock seems exciting. Any tips on how we can get into the company? Well, you're the man I asked this, Arvee.
Okay. I guess it's also related to my answer earlier, right? So for fresh graduates, we don't have a lot of expectations, to be honest, because I hate those companies. I don't know if you guys can relate, right? I hate those companies who are hiring for fresh graduates, but it feels like their expectations are humongous, right? So, I mean, these are fresh graduates. These are people who are fresh from university who are looking for experience. So I don't expect, as I've said earlier, I don't expect hard skills. What I'm looking for is character, personality, what your potential is if you join our company. So I think those are the most important things to keep in mind to get a job with Shuttlerock if you are a fresh grad. Any other questions?
Hello. Do you have a lot of Filipinos in your team?
Good question. I am the only Filipino globally. Would you believe that? So come join our team.
Come join it,
Yeah.
So Shuttlerock some of that Philippines magic. Go for it.
I know.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you so much, Arvee. And sorry for